Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. When Cody's date is interrupted by Ava at Mac's barbecue, does jealous Molly lose it? Ava Jerome may crash Mac Scorpio's barbecue as Cody Bell's date, according to General Hospital spoilers, thus Molly Lansing Davis, who is jealous, might lose it as she has been invited as well. Felicia Scorpio addressed Cody in the August 7th show and extended an invitation to Mac's next barbecue party. Since Molly had blew up at him, Cody attempted to decline when he learned that she had also received an invitation. Cody is aware that Molly is no longer his biggest admirer, but he is unaware that Christina Corinthos Davis is the cause of the significant shift in Molly's attitude. Cody didn't believe he should be in Molly's circle at the moment because of this, but Felicia persisted in her approach until Cody accepted the invitation. Did the authors of GH just prepare the audience for a major outburst? Mac's barbecue might go awry because parties and other get-togethers are frequently the setting for soap opera catastrophes. The presence of both Molly and Cody is enough to create tension. But, if Ava shows up at the party, even more serious issues might be on the horizon. Ava is anxious to spend more time with Cody now that she is tired of Rick Lansing. Ava has no qualms with showing off their relationship in public because she and Cody had some sultry poolside moments together. Ava could adore the thought of walking about in this cookout on Cody's arm because she likes to stir things up. This is particularly true if Elizabeth Baldwin and Rick Baldwin also show up. Ava might use it as an opportunity to flaunt the new man in her life and demonstrate that she is moving on. By inviting herself and putting pressure on Cody to bring her along as his plus one, Ava might surprise him. Given that Christina's seduction scheme is the true reason he is bringing Ava closer to him, Cody might be a little leery. However, Cody does appear to be truly drawn to Ava and is beginning to realize that she is more complex than he initially believed. Furthermore, Cody cannot allow Ava to believe that he is bashful about showing her around if he hopes to maintain the plot for which Christina is paying him. So far, Christina's strategy is working, but until she is sure that the blackmail situation is resolved, she will need Cody to keep it going. Considering all of that, we could picture Ava and Cody showing up at Mac's barbecue and upsetting Molly. Stay tuned for any upcoming showdown news, as General Hospital teasers indicate that Molly's jealousy may explode at any moment. General Hospital spoilers, 3 shocking revelations for Britt, Jason, and other characters are hinted at by the head writers. As the show's co-head writers Chris Van Etten and Elizabeth Corta discuss what's next for Britt Westbourne, Jason Morgan, and others with Soap Opera Digest, General Hospital spoilers indicate 3 shocking developments for the ABC soap opera. Let's get started! While searching for Britt Westbourne, Jason Morgan puts another person in danger. Chris Van Etten and Elizabeth Corta hint that although Jason has considered leaving Britt alone and has come to terms with her decision to avoid Port Charles, he will change his mind and end up in a risky situation. What Jason doesn't know is that confronting Britt may put other people in danger, one person, in particular, who is very close to him, Van Etten and Corta tell SOD. Given that she and her partner, Vaughn, are currently on their way to Five Poppies Resort and in Britt's orbit, it appears that Jocelyn Jacks may be the person the writing team is referring to. It would be interesting to watch what happens because Joss is not only his best friend but also his goddaughter and the daughter of Carly Spencer. Is Caesar Faison still living? Van Etten and Corta mention in their SOD interview that Caesar Faison might still be alive and connected to Britt's plot, which makes sense given that his name was revealed this week. Resurrecting deceased characters might be difficult, according to the co-head authors. It helps that Britt is the offspring of 2 larger-than-life parents, they said. Brooklyn's Rocco bombshell will get worse. Lastly, Corta and Van Etten discussed Britt's return, which will impact Rocco Falconeri, who recently discovered that Britt was the woman who carried him and cared for him during the first few months of his life. Faison and Albrecht exist in that soap opera world where anything is possible. Rocco has been drawn to Liesel as a result of Brooklyn Quartermain's error in leaving the paperwork on the drama surrounding his stolen embryo for him to unintentionally see. Furthermore, it has infuriated Lulu Spencer. Although it appears that things should slow down, Britt's impending arrival means that they won't, and things will get out of hand. Which plot point would you most like to see develop? Caitlin McMullen of General Hospital discusses her Snow White haircut and how Willow's story caused a significant shift. According to General Hospital spoilers, Caitlin McMullen recently talked about her Snow White hairstyle and how Willow's story caused a significant transformation. McMullen explained why she changed her haircut just before Willow's world fell apart in an interview with SOD. In fact, GH executive producer Frank Valentini came up with the concept first, suggesting that Willow might want to have a daring new look for the nurses' ball. The intention was to demonstrate Willow's self-assurance before her life collapsed. Naturally, Michael Corinthos' return home and the start of the custody drama occurred during the nurses' ball. After Willow left Drew Kane because of his previous infatuation with Nina Reeves, she lost both her children and her future husband. When Caitlin McMullen agreed to this haircut idea, she presented a picture of what she was leaning toward to her regular hairstylist. I showed her a reference image of Game of Thrones character Lena Headey. She had an edgy hairdo that was a shade darker than mine, according to a picture we recently saw online. We kind of accepted that, McMullen remarked. McMullen went on to say that her family, friends, and co-stars were all very supportive. Even though making such a drastic change typically requires some getting used to, McMullen was happy with how everyone responded behind the scenes. Although Caitlin McMullen's current appearance does have an edgy feel to it, many of her co-stars found it to be reminiscent of a particular Disney character. They said, "People started calling me Snow because it has a Snow White vibe, which made me laugh." That was enjoyable, McMullen acknowledged. Regarding Willow's future, she will continue to put up a strong struggle to reunite with Wiley and Amelia Corinthos. Stay in for updates on the terrible news that's yet to come because it seems like Willow is going to make even more mistakes along the way. According to General Hospital spoilers, Willow's plot will involve some unexpected turns and mayhem. Power plays, lies, and passion, a must-watch soap drama from August 11th to 15th. Daytime drama is poised to light up the screen with its dramatic revelations and jaw-dropping mysteries. From August 11th to 15th, daytime drama will ramp up, secrets will be brought to light, alliances will be shattered, and truths will be revealed. There is chaos here, and nobody is escaping unharmed. The biggest soapy spoilers: August 11th to 15th. Beyond the Gates, Ted is tense when Nicole makes a startling decision that changes her destiny. He's confused and unsure of what to do next because of her this week. Is Nicole overreacting? Will she do something that they will both regret? For Eva, enough is enough. She's having enough of her mother, and she's not going to keep quiet. The daughter of the Queen of Scheme, Leslie, has had enough. She has picked up the pieces, co-signed her terrible behavior, and covered for her. She is at her breaking point. Anticipate a major but between these two. Ridge may have made a decision about his fate, but has Brooke really made a decision about hers? When Nick takes out that large, gleaming gem and gives Brooke everything she could ever want, everything may change in an instant. Is it time to finally burn the bridge for good, or will she regret repeating history? Just wait till Dollar Bill approaches Grace if she believes that dealing with Liam and Hope's anger was unpleasant. He's going to lose it and go completely crazy. Grace will likely regret being born in addition to regretting what she accomplished. Days of Our Lives, you'll be surprised to learn which enemies are arguing this week. Gwen and EJ. Yes, EJ turns to face Gwen and gives her a delicious tidbit. It remains to be seen why he has chosen to confide in Gwen of all people, but watch those scenes closely because people will be amazed. Rachel's parents are extremely concerned about her erratic behavior. She remains sardonic, unruly, and unhinged. What else would one anticipate from Kristen's daughter? That tree is definitely not far from where the apple is falling. Brady and Kristen must find a permanent solution for this child. General Hospital Britt is feeling the heat as boots on the ground at the Five Poppies. She is thought to be dead and has remained totally unknown up until now. She is now in trouble once that secret is revealed. A lot of problems. Even more difficulties than previously. Back in Port Charles, Stella gives Trina some wise counsel. Because of Kai, she has seen her go from heartbreak to healing, and Stella doesn't want her to lose steam. She exhorts Trina to embrace every possibility and stand up for the young man. Chelsea from Young and the Restless takes great satisfaction in being a helpful friend, especially if that friend is an ex. She has always supported Nick, Adam, and now Billy. She was also there for Adam while they weren't together. That is fantastic, isn't it? Not if you're Adam, anyway. He attacks her for siding with his adversary and practically orders her to sever her relationship with Billy. Keep an eye out for Christine and Danny as they return to town. Christine is eager to visit Lauren, but Danny's primary destination is to see his son. She needs the fashionista to do her a great favor. Perhaps it has to do with a wedding? Will she soon be wearing Danny's last name as well? She is wearing his ring. They weren't certain who was the first to notice the subtle change in the atmosphere between them. Months had passed since their marriage ended, and every step they took apart was marked by decisions they were unable to reverse. However, something ancient simmered beneath their stillness as Willow stood close by in the entryway she used to call home, and Michael remained outside the gatehouse one warm evening, holding a mug he didn't intend to drink from. Since splitting from Drew, Willow had been living in a daze, burdened by the shock of betrayal. After her life fell apart, she had convinced herself that he was the bulwark of the storm and had trusted him beyond reason. However, his manipulation had caused the fantasy to crumble. After her breakup with Michael, she had clung to Drew not because she loved him but more because he provided a diversion from the emptiness of losing her children and her sense of direction. However, it had not persisted. Drew's mask was irreparably broken after the lies, staged reports about Michael's parenting, fake drug tests, and false stories about Wiley's alleged desertion came to light. And all that remained was a guy who had exploited her vulnerability for his own self-gratification. And now she was standing here once more, on the other side of Michael. He appeared worn out. Not only did his cheeks lose color from restless nights, but he also felt a deeper weariness brought on by the silent pain of betrayal. Only remnants of regret remained as Sasha and Daisy vanished into the night in a maelstrom of heartache and sorrow. She hadn't been pursued by Michael. Not at all. Not from the bottom of his heart. Because, in reality, Willow had never really regained that aspect of him. Something in him had resisted letting her go completely, even in their silence, even after the papers had been filed and the yelling had ceased. They weren't the same individuals who had cradled Wiley in the wee hours of the morning while holding hands on this porch and making vows about eternity. There had been too much. It had been spoken too much. Nevertheless, that same tug reappeared during times like this, when the world was still and sorrow was not as loud. Michael watched her with the eyes of a man who had attempted and failed to stop caring, leaning against the doorframe. At last, he remarked in a quiet, hesitant voice, "Curtis told me. Regarding Drew. Regarding his behind-the-scenes activities." Willow took a while to respond. She clenched her fingers around her sweatshirt. Even though she had anticipated this conversation, hearing it out loud still made her stomach turn. "I was unaware," she muttered. "I took his statement that you had given up on us seriously. In order to stop missing you, I wanted to believe it." Michael laughed softly and hollowly. "I was furious for a while. At myself, not just at you. For allowing someone else to write our story. For not putting up a stronger fight. But now I understand." She looked into his eyes. "He played both of us." And for a little instant, there was only recognition, no suffering or condemnation. Both of them had been duped. They had both grasped for what was closest rather than what was right because they desired something substantial in the aftermath. Willow uttered, almost in a whisper, "I still don't know who I am without you. Even after everything." Michael moved in closer, their distance from one another getting smaller. The glimmer of tears in her eyes was captured by the porch light. He kept his hands off her. "Not quite yet." However, the weight of all they hadn't uttered made the air between them pulse. The room inside the gatehouse was just as it had always been. The mantel was adorned with framed pictures of Wiley and Amelia, moments captured in time, seemingly anticipating the reunion with their former family. With a gentle click, the door closed behind Willow as she followed him inside. She was unsure of what she was anticipating, possibly closure. Instead, she discovered the solace of familiarity and the subdued murmur of the past. Too close for distance and too far away for forgiveness, they sat on the couch. They talked in bits and pieces, about how Amelia's hair would not stay tied back no matter how many bows Willow used, and about Wiley's new habit of keeping his sneakers in the refrigerator. Fixing things wasn't the point. Under the wounds, it was about remembering who they were. For a brief moment, everything felt complete again after Michael brushed a lock of hair out of her face. It was not a planned kiss. As natural and inevitable as a tide returning to shore, it was more of a return than a choice. It didn't matter that the path had been interrupted in that moment of suspension as her fingers curled into his chest and his arms encircled her. The fact that they had reconnected, even if only briefly, was what counted. Later, Willow lay silently and gazed up at the ceiling. Only the surface of the storm within her had subsided. Guilt still stirred beneath it. Because she had withheld some information from him. Not quite yet. With ruthless accuracy, the memory of that night, July 4th, the one she had buried so deeply, arose once more. Daisy had been taken by her. Really, it hadn't been a well-considered choice. It had been a moment of broken desperation, an unsuccessful attempt to cause Michael to feel the same pain that she had. In her ear, Drew had murmured falsehoods, assurances of control, justice, and a rewriting of Michael's authority over her. He had been believed by her. She had acted without thinking. She was no longer the person she once was. She was now encircled by Michael's arms and unable to reveal the information that would ruin their relationship. Michael, seeing her restlessness, stirred next to her. "What is it?" With a gentle kiss on her shoulder, he asked. Willow paused. She muttered, "I'm not sure if we can do this again." He concurred, saying, "We're not the same." She turned to face him and said, "But perhaps that's the point. What if I told you that I had done something that I couldn't undo?" He stopped, observing her intently. At that moment, she wanted to tell him, "We all have." She nearly did. However, she was halted by something. Fear, perhaps. Perhaps it was the knowledge that this delicate window might permanently close if she told the truth. She remained silent. Weeks went by. They grew closer, careful but inextricable. They went for walks with the children, laughed awkwardly during dinners, and exchanged long looks that conveyed more than they dared to express. Then the nausea struck. The exhaustion. The obvious indicators. One morning, Willow's hand was shaking as she gazed at the test in the restroom. Good. It was cruelly ironic. A newborn. A fresh start. Or the finish of the beginning. She was aware of Michael's words. Of course, he would step up. He had always done so. He would be encouraging, polite, and even hopeful. However, she was also aware of what he was unaware of, that his daughter had once been abducted in the middle of the night by the mother of his unborn child, who was filled with resentment. How was she going to cope with that? Why didn't she inform him? She seemed distant to Michael, but he mistook it for a fear of the past happening again. Slowly, he extended his hand to give her another chance at a future. And Willow, drowning in secrets, held on to it despite being internally crushed by the weight of her unspoken truth. Silently, they started to get ready. No announcements to the public. No festivities. Just a mutual understanding that they would deal with whatever came next. For the children. For the new life that is growing within her. Willow's nights, however, became agitated. She would wake up in shivers, dreaming of Jason's eyes the night he came back and almost ruined everything, of sirens and yelling, of Daisy's scared face. She was also aware that it wouldn't remain hidden indefinitely. Jason was too near. Elizabeth had questions. And Drew still had the ability to destroy anything, no matter where he was. She had a limited amount of time. And Willow would have to respond to the question she dreaded the most: did she deserve this second opportunity at family? That was the truth, when the thread was pulled and the facade started to unravel. Or had she irreparably sacrificed it already? General Hospital spoilers: is Alexis at fault? Fans are criticizing her for being hypocritical. According to General Hospital spoilers, people are criticizing Alexis Davis for her hypocritical tirade at Drew Quartermaine. Enraged by Drew's choice to relocate to Washington, D.C. After having sex with Willow Corinthos, his nephew's wife, and Willow's mother, Nina Reeves, Alexis vented to Jason Morgan, saying, "Who does that?" Fans, however, draw attention to Alexis' own troubled past, including her liaisons with Sonny Corinthos and Rick Lansing, as well as her sleeping with Ned Quartermaine while he was married to Olivia Quartermaine and her late daughter Sam McCall. Is Alexis being hypocritical about the situation? Fan reaction to Alexis' rant. Alexis' outburst to Jason on Drew's moral shortcomings has sparked a backlash from fans who accuse her of being hypocritical. In addition to Alexis' personal tryst with Ned during his marriage, GH viewers remember Sam's liaison with Sonny, Alexis' baby daddy to Christina Corinthos Davis, and her brief liaison with Rick while Alexis was still married to him. Drew's relocation to D.C. The fans believe Alexis went a bit too far this time, even though Scout stings. She put her foot in her mouth, but to be honest, nobody is speaking up to defend Drew. Is Alexis right to be angry, or is her past making her judgment absurd? The past haunts Alexis' judgment unbeknownst to her. Followers are analyzing her own past as Alexis intensified her criticism of Drew's decisions. Her outrage over Drew's extramarital affairs is a reflection of her own complex web. Sam's betrayals and her affair with Ned have left a lasting impression. Fans were asking on Facebook whether Alexis' selective memory would backfire, particularly after Christina was implicated in Ava Jerome's blackmail. Will Alexis have to examine her hypocrisy further or face it head-on? Is Alexis able to reclaim her moral superiority? Fans are questioning if Alexis can defend her position or give in to criticism because of her hypocrisy. Will she overcome her past in her battle to keep Scout in Port Charles? If Alexis doesn't pull herself together and pay attention to what she says and to whom, will her hurtful remarks about Drew come back to haunt him? Even while we might want Alexis to take some responsibility, nobody is excited to watch Drew tear Scout away from her family. We wouldn't be sad to see him depart, though. Is Alexis too oblivious to her shortcomings to keep an eye on her and make sure she doesn't make a mistake and become a target of Drew's plots? Chase's impatience increases, Christina's scheme gains traction, and Anna is abducted. Brennan gave Joss her new identity at his WSB office. Kelsey and McDonald, just married to Christopher Nash. A locked case of top-secret documents was seen being placed inside an unlocked cabinet by Brennan. He reminded her that their goal is to compile a thorough report on the resort's grounds, security arrangements, and employee movements, not to take down anyone. Brennan received a call from Carly just as Joss was ready to head out, asking if he would want to grab drinks with her at the Metro Court. In order to give her the cover story about going to Australia, he instructed Joss to first meet with her mother. Anna was standing at Dock 55 when Liesl approached. Anna informed Liesl that Rocco was the kid of Dante and Lulu when she referred to him as Britta's son. Liesl replied, "Genetically perhaps, but that young man is the last living connection I have to my precious Britta." Anna expressed her sorrow for Liesl's ongoing anguish over Britt's passing. To Anna's surprise, Liesl said that she didn't deserve her pity because of the ordeal she must have endured when she and Caesar Faison abducted Robin, an act she felt she couldn't forgive. "Empathy can be merciless when you don't expect it," Anna added. Liesl continued to think about the night Britt was killed and wished she could go back in time to her final steps before being attacked on that wharf. They talked about Jason believing he saw Britt, but Liesl still believed it was his imagination. "The ghosts and I have been looking out on the water and remembering Britta's final act of heroism," she added. She was nevertheless reassured that someone else was considering her daughter, and she was reassured when Anna mentioned how much Jason loved her. Liesl remembered being so preoccupied with Faison and regretted not being a better mother. Toward the end, Anna reminded her that they had a positive relationship. Liesl surprised Anna by admitting that they had comparable regrets to her many. She claimed that Anna had ignored Robin because of her love for the WSB, just as she had neglected Britta because of her love for Faison. Although she acknowledged that she wasn't totally incorrect, Anna acknowledged that as she grew older, she found it harder to defend some of her actions as an agent. According to Liesl, the WSB entices an idealistic youth with the promise of saving the world. However, it's all about power and money, just like any other business. You eventually lose the ability to distinguish between opportunists and altruists. It still had the ring of truth, according to Liesl. Anna said that she would advise her younger self to pick another career path since joining the WSB would cost her more than she could afford to lose. When Liesl asked her what she would tell her younger self, Anna questioned what Liesl would say to her younger self, reversing the question. She joked, "I would advise her not to fall in love with crazy Danish terrorists." Anna contacted Carly to discuss Jocelyn after Liesel left, and they agreed to meet in the Metro court. Someone covered her head and abducted her before she could get away. Chase and Brooklyn were dining at the Metro court. Brooklyn appeared concerned, but Chase wanted to start the adoption process over. She believed she needed to work on mending her relationship with Gio before considering adoption since she wasn't ready. She didn't want Gio to believe that she was taking his place. Chase believed he could convince Gio that they weren't attempting to replace him. He inquired as to how long she wished to postpone their adoption plans, expressing his frustration with her hesitation. He was beginning to question if she was still interested in starting a family. She assured him that she had not altered her mind about ultimately establishing a family with him and that she hoped their child would grow up with 2 devoted parents and an adored older brother. Chase left the table to take a call, but his statement that he was fine with waiting for a better moment was not entirely believable. Rick and Molly were eating dinner at a different table. He acknowledged that he and Ava were going through a difficult time, but he was unwilling to discuss it. She informed him that she was returning to writing and that an unexpected horseback trip had inspired her most recent narrative idea. Molly recalled her moments at the pool with Cody when Rick inquired about the subject of her next book. Because her heroine discovered she didn't need a man to be happy, she declared she wouldn't be writing a romance. They talked about Ava for a little while, and Elizabeth came up to greet Molly as she was stating that he could do so much better than Ava. Molly urged them to take as much time as they wanted as she was going to check her voicemail when Elizabeth stated she needed a moment to ask Rick a question. After thanking Rick for helping Willow pro gratis, Elizabeth informed him that Willow's visit with Michael had not gone well. According to Rick, Willow should be behaving like Elizabeth, warm, kind, and caring. Upon Molly's return, she and Rick persuaded Elizabeth to join them for supper. Joss showed up to give Carly her excuse for going. Carly felt something more was happening, but she also thought it was lovely of Jocelyn to go help Lady Jane's old acquaintance, Mrs. Walker. After a challenging year, Joss shifted to explain that she was going in order to get some distance from Vaughn and determine what she truly wanted. Carly applauded her choice and praised her maturity for standing back to consider her options. Brennan asked Joss where she was going, continuing the charade as he approached. Jocelyn's irritated expression showed that she is still upset over her hidden boss dating her mother. After Joss left, they were still discussing her when Anna contacted Carly and said she needed to speak with her about Jocelyn. Brennan was worried when Carly instructed her to meet at the Metro court. He probably ordered Anna to be abducted when he departed for a little while to make a call. Emma informed Gio that she didn't want him to be the one to break into Dalton's office after he ended his shift at the Metro court pool. She was afraid he may be caught and arrested, but he countered that it would be worse for her if she was jailed again. He didn't want her to jeopardize her family ties because he thought he had less to lose overall. He acknowledged that he missed them all, but he reasoned that he didn't have that risk because he was no longer near his. He claimed that being away from his family hurt a lot, even if he wasn't prepared to talk to them. Emma consented to let Gio break into Dalton's office after acknowledging his reasoning. Jocelyn approached Emma and requested if she may have a quick conversation with her. She informed her that she had already emailed Professor Dalton to resign, that she was departing for Australia for the next few weeks, and that an unforeseen circumstance had arisen. The job never meant anything to Emma, so she smugly told her that she would never persevere. Joss urged Emma she shouldn't accept the job offer even though she knew it meant a lot to her and was certain Dalton would offer it. When Emma reprimanded her, Joss told her that she knew Dalton would do the same to Emma because he had made advances on her multiple times. She warned Emma to avoid him, calling him a complete slime. On his phone call, Chase left the restaurant to go to the pool and offered to work in the station even though they didn't need him. He asked Gio how he was doing after running into him. Gio said he was excellent and left. Cody was taken aback when Christina arrived at his hospital examination room, where he was having his back mole examined, even though he had texted her to meet him. Similar to Tracy, Christina believed it to be a freckle, but Cody was becoming more and more alarmed about it. The dermatologist was on her way, Elizabeth informed him, and Christina hoped that seeing the two of them together wouldn't backfire. Later, while Christina was waiting outside the door, Cody emerged to inform her that he had what was called an ephilus, a freckle, in the medical community. He said that Molly was solely to blame as she led him to believe he was dying. He was frustrated that if they weren't even going to be friends anymore, he shouldn't have bothered to woo Ava away from Rick for Molly's sake. When Christina offered him an additional $10,000, he immediately changed his mind. Christina encouraged Cody to go over to her mom's office because she knew Ava was there. Ava never met a martini she didn't want to swim in, so she told him to use his charm to lure her out for a drink. He asked her if she knew why Molly was upset with him before he left. Christina skirted the issue by claiming that Molly had simply been irritable and sensitive ever since splitting with TJ. When Alexis met Ava at the Miller and Davis law firm, she promised to do her a great favor by simplifying their arrangement. Ava's annoyance with Rick was obviously increasing. She said that Rick lacked perspective, failed to recognize the dangers to everyone, and would ultimately cause everything to explode up in their faces unless they took action. She suggested that Alexis pay her $1.5 million in one last installment. There would be no more embezzlement, no more blackmail, and no more Rick when Alexis moved it to an account that only she could access, according to Ava. When Alexis questioned her about her assurance that Ava wouldn't carry out the blackmail, Ava produced the key to the storage area where she kept Rick's automobile and claimed that once the last amount cleared her account, it would belong to Alexis. She suggested she could get rid of the CCTV footage from her garage and Alexis could get rid of the automobile. Alexis cautioned Ava not to underestimate Rick's potential for trouble because he was a pretty vindictive person. Alexis ultimately accepted the arrangement, and Ava remained unfazed. Just before Ava departed, Cody arrived. Following Britt back to her hotel at the Five Poppies Resort, Pascal scolded her for barging into his office. Pascal was annoyed at having his boundaries pushed, but him had instructed him to keep Britt satisfied. Without holding back, Britt expressed her displeasure and irritation at not being able to reach their mutual friend. Since the data was insufficient and Greta was at a loss for what to do with what she had, she advised Pascal to inform their supervisor that Greta needed to return to Port Charles for another exchange. Britt was on her computer after Pascal had departed. She saw Liesel's article about her and Rocco at the pool while browsing My Face. "Oh, Ben, look how big you are." She then selected a picture of herself cradling Ben as a newborn from a folder on her desktop. She informed him that they had a serious issue when she eventually received a call from the big boss, himself. She stated that she needed more freedom and didn't want to remain pent up until more data arrived. She hung up and got ready to take her injection for the night. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.